There are places hiding in plain sight across Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks. Places where conspiracy theories become architecture, where sand dunes rise from nowhere, 700 miles from any ocean, and where bridges stretch so far into darkness they earned nicknames from terrified locals. I started this journey looking for Instagram spots, but what I found were engineering impossibilities, geological contradictions, and stories that even Colorado natives have never heard. From a $5 billion airport hiding apocalypse bunkers to a concert venue carved by ancient gods, these 30 locations reveal the Colorado that tour guides won't show you. Walk with me through America's highest state, where every summit holds secrets. Welcome to another Cultureverse exclusive. Another journey into our extraordinary world. The horse killed its creator. That's not a conspiracy theory. That's documented fact. This blue Mustang with glowing red eyes stands guard over America's strangest airport, where murals predict doomsday and underground tunnels stretch for miles beneath the terminals. Denver International cost $5 billion and opened 16 months late. The automated baggage system, designed to revolutionize air travel, failed so spectacularly, it became a case study in engineering disasters. But that's not why locals call it the New World Order headquarters. Few people know that construction workers reported building 5 multi-story buildings underground, then watching as they were buried intact. The airport sits on 53 square miles, twice the size of Manhattan. Satellite images reveal massive excavations that official blueprints never explain. The dedication stone contains Masonic symbols and credits a group that doesn't exist in any records. Time capsule beneath it won't open until 2094. Even the runways form a swastika when viewed from above, though officials claim it's just the most efficient configuration for Denver's winds. America's most photographed mountains are also its deadliest. The Maroon Bells have claimed more experienced climbers than any other 14,000-foot peaks in Colorado. Locals call them the Deadly Bells, and the rock here crumbles like sugar cubes beneath your hands. These peaks rise 14,163 feet above Aspen. Their burgundy layers formed from ancient mudstone 300 million years ago. Unlike the solid granite of other Colorado peaks, this rock disintegrates without warning. Handholds become dust. Ledges collapse into air.
If you see this subscribe button in the corner, click it. It's completely free, but helps us a lot.
Few people know that Native Americans avoided these peaks entirely, calling them the place where the earth bleeds. The distinctive maroon color comes from oxidized iron in the mudstone, the same process that creates rust. When wet, the rock becomes as slippery as soap. Search and rescue teams respond here more than any other wilderness area in Colorado. The reflection in Maroon Lake creates perfect photos, but those mirror images hide the mountain's true nature. 14 climbers have vanished completely, their bodies never found. Musicians say the rocks sing back. At Red Rock's Amphitheatre, sound doesn't just bounce off stone, it merges with it, creating harmonics that exist nowhere else on Earth. This isn't just a venue, it's an instrument made from 300 million year old sandstone. Shiprock and Creation Rock frame the stage, positioned by geological coincidence to create flawless acoustics. The natural amphitheater sits at 6,450 feet elevation, where thin air changes how sound travels. Every note carries differently here. Few people know the Beatles were banned from Red Rocks after their 1964 concert caused riots. So was Jimi Hendrix in 1968. The city feared rock music would literally crack the rocks. For 20 years, only Tamax could perform here. Ancient peoples held ceremonies between these stones for thousands of years. Archaeological evidence shows fire circles and altar stones positioned for optimal sound. They discovered what modern acousticians confirm: this place amplifies more than music. It amplifies intention. Dunes scream when disturbed. Slide down these 750-foot mountains of sand, and they produce a deep humming that measures exactly 105 decibels, louder than a motorcycle. Scientists call it singing sand. The Navajo call it the voice of the trapped wind spirit. These are North America's tallest dunes, rising impossibly from the San Luis Valley floor. The sand traveled here from the San Juan Mountains, carried by southwestern winds for over 440,000 years. But the mystery is why it stopped here, 750 miles from any ocean. Few people know that Medano Creek performs a magic trick each spring. The snowmelt creates surge flow, waves in the middle of the desert. For a few weeks, beach waves roll across Colorado sand. Children surf where no ocean has ever existed. The sand maintains a constant 140-degree surface temperature in summer, yet dig down 8 inches and it's cool enough to preserve ice. Magnetic particles in certain dunes create compass anomalies. Some nights, the dunes glow with static electricity, creating blue ghost lights that dance across the ridges. Built by one man who claims God told him to, Jim Bishop has spent 50 years welding this 160-foot iron and stone castle by hand in the Colorado wilderness. No blueprints, no help, no building permits, just divine instruction and fierce determination. Bishop started at age 15, buying this land for $450. Every stone was carried by hand, every piece of iron welded alone. The grand ballroom ceiling rises 40 feet, supported by ironwork that engineers say shouldn't be possible without a crane. Few people know Bishop embedded his parents' ashes in the castle walls. His father told him he'd never amount to anything. Now thousands visit this impossible structure annually. The dragon head breathes real fire. Bishop welded a working chimney into its mouth. At age 79, he's still building. The castle grows taller each year, defying physics and building codes. Local authorities gave up trying to stop him decades ago. When asked when he'll finish, Bishop says, "When God tells me to stop or when I'm dead." Locals call it the bridge to nowhere because fog often hides both ends, leaving you suspended over an invisible abyss. The Royal Gorge Bridge hangs 956 feet above the Arkansas River, so high that base jumpers need special permits to leap from it. This was the world's highest bridge for 72 years. The canyon below is so deep that the river looks like a silver thread. Engineers in 1929 said it couldn't be built. The granite walls were too far apart, the winds too violent. They built it anyway. Few people know the bridge has a magnetic anomaly. People report feeling physically pulled toward the edge, even when standing at the center. Security cameras capture visitors suddenly walking toward the rails as if in a trance. The phenomenon remains unexplained. Wind here has thrown cars sideways and flipped campers like toys. The original wooden planks let drivers see straight through to the river below. During construction, workers refused to cross without whiskey shots. Not one fell. The bridge survived a 2013 wildfire that destroyed 90% of the park around it. Some parts receive only 33 minutes of sunlight per day. The Black Canyon earned its name because shadows here are darker than the night sky. The walls plunge so steeply that astronomers use the canyon floor to calibrate instruments for deep space. The Gunnison River carved this canyon at a rate of 1 inch per century, slicing through rock 1.8 billion years old. At its narrowest point, the canyon squeezes down to just 40 feet wide, while dropping 2,722 feet deep. The walls are mostly vertical. Few people know that no one successfully navigated the full canyon by river until 1971. Previous attempts ended in death or abandonment. The rock here is so hard that the river can only cut downward, creating a slot canyon that seems to defy erosion patterns. The Painted Wall rises 2,250 feet, Colorado's tallest cliff. Pink pegmatite veins create patterns that shift in changing light. Early explorers reported vertigo so severe they crawled away from the rim. Even today, many visitors can't approach the edge. "30,000 people disappeared overnight." The ancestral Puebloans built 600 cliff dwellings in Mesa Verde, created sophisticated irrigation systems, and thrived for 700 years. Then, around 1300 AD, they vanished. They left dinner cooking on the fires. Cliff Palace contains 150 rooms and 23 kivas built into a natural alcove. The construction required hauling millions of sandstone blocks up sheer cliffs. They plastered the walls with mud mixed with human urine for strength, a technique modern builders have tried and failed to replicate. Few people know these structures align perfectly with celestial events. Windows frame the winter solstice sunrise. Doorways mark lunar cycles. The builders possessed astronomical knowledge that wouldn't be discovered by Europeans for centuries. The exodus was planned. They took everything valuable but left tools and pottery positioned as if the owners would return tomorrow. No signs of warfare, no mass graves. Tree ring data shows severe drought, but other pueblos survived worse. Something else drove them away, something they never recorded. Touch the water and destroy 1,000,000 years of growth. Hanging Lake exists because of a geological accident. A fault line allowed underground streams to deposit minerals that built travertine formations. One human touch introduces oils that stop this process forever. The lake hangs on a cliff 1,000 feet above Glenwood Canyon. The trail gains that elevation in just 1.2 miles, requiring permits now because Instagram fame nearly destroyed it. The water maintains a constant 50-degree temperature year-round. Few people know the lake is actually alive. Microscopic organisms in the water create the travertine formations. The turquoise color comes from minerals and algae working in perfect balance. The ecosystem is so fragile that in 2021, someone's dog swimming in it caused $50,000 in damage. Below the surface, fallen trees turn to stone within decades. The water deposits 8 tons of minerals annually. Spouting rock, a waterfall emerging from solid cliff, defies conventional geology. Water shouldn't flow from that rock layer, yet it has for millennia. Arctic conditions exist here at Colorado latitude, 1,500 miles too far south. Above 11,000 feet, Rocky Mountain National Park contains tundra, identical to environments found in Alaska. Plants here grow 1 inch per century. A footprint lasts 50 years. Trail Ridge Road climbs to 12,183 feet, making it America's highest continuous paved highway. For 11 miles, you drive above tree line through landscapes that shouldn't exist this far south. The road stays open despite 35-foot snow drifts.
Few people know these alpine plants are older than Egypt's pyramids. Some cushion plants have been carbon dated at 5,000 years old. They survive by growing in perfect circles, dying in the center while expanding outward, immortal through geometry.
Elk cross through downtown Estes Park during migration, stopping traffic for hours. The herds follow routes used for 10,000 years, ignoring human development. In fall, bull elk bugle challenges that echo off peaks, a sound that predates human presence by millennia. This view wrote America the Beautiful. When Catherine Lee Bates reached Pikes Peak's 14,115-foot summit in 1893, the panorama inspired lyrics that became an alternate national anthem. The Purple Mountain Majesties were literal. The peak glows purple at sunset. The Pikes Peak International Hill Climb races cars to the summit on a road with 156 turns and no guardrails. Drivers climb 5,000 feet in 12.42 miles. The lack of oxygen at the top means engines lose 30% power. Some racers hallucinate from altitude.
Few people know the Summit House sells special high-altitude donuts. The reduced air pressure requires a secret recipe. Normal donuts explode at this elevation. The Called Railway has climbed here since 1891, using a center rail to prevent trains from sliding backward.
Zebulon Pike never actually climbed his namesake peak. In 1806, he declared it impossible to summit. The first recorded descent came 14 years later. Now 500,000 people reach the top annually. The summit weather station records winds over 200 miles per hour and temperatures of -40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Teddy Roosevelt soaked here, plotting his presidency. The world's largest hot springs pool hides a secret. Miles of unexplored caves beneath feed 3.5 million gallons of mineral water daily at temperatures reaching 124 degrees Fahrenheit. The main pool stretches 405 feet long, but that's just the visible part. Divers have explored underwater caves extending beyond mapping capability. The Ute tribe kept this location secret for centuries, believing the vapors could reveal visions of the future. Few people know Doc Holliday died here
seeking cure for tuberculosis in the mineral waters. His hotel room overlooked the pools. The original bathhouse from 1888 still stands, though the caves below contain Ute artifacts suggesting use for thousands of years.
The Yampa vapor caves next door maintain 110-degree temperatures naturally. The underground chambers were sacred to 3 different tribes who never fought over access. Modern analysis shows the mineral content matches famous European spas, but with uranium traces that create natural, mild radioactivity.
Average home price, $7 million. Aspen wasn't always a playground for the ultra-rich. This Victorian mining town produced more silver than anywhere on Earth, until the 1893 crash turned it into a ghost town overnight. The transformation began when Chicago industrialist Walter Papke discovered the abandoned town in 1945. He envisioned a cultural utopia where minds and bodies could achieve perfection. The Aspen Institute still hosts world leaders seeking solutions at 8,000 feet.
Few people know Aspen's trees are actually one organism. The entire mountainside of quaking aspens shares a single root system, the largest living thing in Colorado. This 100-acre organism is 80,000 years old and weighs 6,000 tons.
More private jets land here than commercial flights. The airport requires special pilot certification. The approach threads between 14,000-foot peaks. Billionaires complain about merely wealthy newcomers. A local joke. What's the difference between God and an Aspen real estate agent? God doesn't think he's an Aspen real estate agent. Built to look ancient in 1962. Vail's Bavarian architecture was designed by Earl Eaton, who copied European villages to create instant nostalgia. The historic town center is younger than most of its visitors. Even locals forget it's all facade. Pete Seibert, Vail's founder, discovered the mountain while training with the 10th Mountain Division in World War II. He returned with a dream of the perfect ski mountain. One problem, he'd never actually skied before starting the project. Few people know sheep herders used these meadows for summer grazing before skiing arrived. Their trails became ski runs. The Back Bowl's 3,000 acres of wide-open terrain exist because of 1879 forest fires. Nature created what designers couldn't imagine. The town enforces architectural guidelines stricter than historic districts. Every building must look authentic alpine. Chains are banned, even McDonald's had to redesign. The fakeness became so convincing that European visitors ask which century the buildings date from. Butch Cassidy robbed his first bank here, Telluride sits in a box canyon with one way in, one way out, perfect for outlaws avoiding capture. The San Miguel Valley Bank still stands where Cassidy's gang stole $24,580 in 1889. Bridal Veil Falls plunges 365 feet at the canyon's end, powering the town since 1895. The power plant building clings to the cliff face, an engineering impossibility that still generates electricity. Workers ride a cable car to reach it, swaying hundreds of feet above the rocks. Few people know Telluride might mean to hell you ride, a warning about treacherous trails, or it comes from tellurium, a mineral found in gold ore. The town had electricity before most of America, thanks to Nikola Tesla's AC power experiments here. The Box Canyon creates weather inversions that trap clouds below town. Residents wake above a sea of white, skiing in sunshine while valleys stay fogged. The geographic isolation preserved Victorian buildings perfectly. Even the brothels remain, now million-dollar condos. The largest gold nugget in Colorado, 13 pounds of pure gold, emerged from Blue River gravel here in 1887. Tom's baby made prospector Tom Groves rich overnight. But Breckenridge's real treasure wasn't yellow metal, it was white powder. The town sits at 9,600 feet, where snow falls 300 days annually. Gold dredges scarred the valley until skiing arrived in 1961. Now those same scars became ski runs. The dredge boat still floats where it stopped, a monument to economic transformation. Few people know Breckenridge stayed part of No Nation for 3 years. A 1936 survey revealed the town had never been annexed after the Louisiana Purchase. Locals declared independence as the Kingdom of Breckenridge until paperwork caught up. Main Street's Victorian buildings survived because gold played out before anyone could afford to demolish them. Poverty preserved history. The Breckenridge Troll, a 15-foot wooden sculpture, guards the Blue River Trail built from recycled wood by artist Thomas Dambo. The snow here actually pops like champagne. Steamboat's famous powder contains 6% moisture, compared to 15% elsewhere. The crystals stay separate, creating acoustic properties that make a distinctive sound. Skiers swear they can hear the difference blindfolded. Cowboys skied before it was a sport. Ranchers strapped wooden boards to boots for winter chores. The Norwegian Hausen brought jumping techniques in 1914, merging ranch practicality with European style. Steamboat has produced more Winter Olympians than any other American town. Few people know the town's name comes from a misunderstanding. French trappers heard a natural hot spring chugging and thought a steamboat was coming up the Yampa River. Impossible, given the rapids. The springs still chug, now piped to resort pools. The mountain gets 400 inches of annual snowfall, but the town stays relatively warm due to hot springs throughout the valley. Storm Peak Laboratory sits at 10,500 feet, where scientists study cloud formation. Their research revealed why steamboat snow differs. Unique atmospheric conditions create perfect crystals.
Built where engineers said trains couldn't go,
The narrow gauge railroad clings to cliffs above the Animas River, climbing 2,800 feet in 45 miles. Construction crews in 1881 hung from ropes to blast ledges. 0 deaths, considered impossible. The tracks follow a canyon so narrow that passengers can touch rock walls from windows. In places, the train travels on ledges just 4 feet wider than the cars. The engineers drew blueprints on tent canvas by candlelight. Road never stopped running. While other narrow gauges converted or abandoned, this line hauled silver, gold, uranium, and tourists continuously since 1882. The original blueprints were drawn on tent canvas. Paper wouldn't survive conditions. Hollywood filmed here so often that locals joke about movie rocks, formations painted different colors for various westerns. The train whistle echoes 7 times in Cascade Canyon. Engineers time their blasts to create a musical sequence that hasn't changed in 140 years. Spent $500 million to keep buildings short. Boulder's citizens taxed themselves to buy land, ensuring the Flatirons remain visible from anywhere in town. The 45,000 acres of open space cost more than most cities' entire budgets.
The Flatirons lean at precisely 55 degrees, the angle loose sand naturally assumes. These 300-million-year-old sandstone slabs once lay flat. The Rocky Mountain uplift tilted them vertical. Climbers say the rock feels alive, warm, even in winter.
Few people know Boulder has more PhDs per capita than any U.S. city. The combination of university, federal labs, and outdoor culture creates unique demographics. Dogs outnumber children, bikes outnumber cars. The city banned chains to preserve local character. The Pearl Street Mall, a pedestrian paradise, exists because 1970s downtown was dying. Instead of urban renewal, Boulder went carless. Street performers need permits that require auditions. Even busking has standards at 5,430 feet elevation. Tesla created 135-foot lightning bolts here.
In 1899, Nikola Tesla chose Colorado Springs for experiments that produced artificial lightning visible 15 miles away. His lab notes describe hearing thunder from distances that mathematics say impossible.
The location wasn't random. Tesla needed high altitude, low humidity, and frequent natural lightning for comparison. He claimed to receive radio signals from Mars. Modern analysis suggests he detected Jupiter's radio emissions, decades before official discovery.
Few people know NORAD tracks Santa from inside Cheyenne Mountain. The tradition started when a newspaper misprinted a phone number. Children called Continental Air Defense Command. Colonel Harry Shoup ordered staff to give Santa's position, creating permanent magic.
Olympic athletes train here because 6,035-foot elevation builds superior cardiovascular capacity. The U.S. Olympic Training Center exploits thin air that frustrates visitors. Garden of the Gods frames the city, ancient courtroom watching modern ambitions.
Stephen King fled after one night. Room 217 of the Stanley Hotel inspired The Shining when King experienced unexplained events in 1974. He checked out early, drove straight home, and wrote the novel in 3 months.
F.O. Stanley built this hotel in 1909 after tuberculosis drove him to Colorado's healing air. He recovered completely, living to age 91. The hotel features hidden tunnels, mysterious cold spots, and a concert hall where nobody performs, yet piano music plays.
Few people know. Ghost tours sold out 20 years in advance. Then the hotel stopped taking reservations. Too many requests. Staff report phantom parties in the ballroom, children playing in empty hallways. The ghost of F.O. Stanley still appears in the billiard room.
Elk outnumber residents 3-1, wandering through town like they own it, which historically they do. During fall rut, bull elk battle on manicured lawns while tourists flee. The animals follow ancient paths that predate human settlement by millennia. Too dangerous for guardrails. Independence Pass climbs to 12,095 feet, where engineers determined guardrails would give false confidence. The road closes 8 months annually, not for maintenance, but survival. Avalanches erase sections completely. The ghost town of Independence sits below the pass, abandoned when miners got stranded in 1899. They survived by eating pack animals, then skied out on makeshift boards. The town died that winter. Buildings remain exactly as left.
Few people know the original toll was 1 kiss per crossing.
Miners couldn't afford cash tolls, so operators accepted alternative payment. The tradition lasted until automobiles arrived. Some couples still stop at the summit to honor history.
The continental divide splits here, sending water to both oceans. GPS units fail regularly. The magnetic field shifts unexpectedly. Afternoon lightning strikes with precision. Locals say the pass decides who crosses, not the other way around.
Truckers call it the Widowmaker. Loveland Pass rises to 11,990 feet, with 6% grades and no runaway truck ramps. Brake failure means certain death. The switchbacks are so tight that trucks must use both lanes to turn.
The Eisenhower Tunnel was built to avoid this pass, but hazmat trucks can't use tunnels. They must climb the Widowmaker. Winter chains are mandatory. Summer thunderstorms are worse. Magnetic compasses spin wildly at the summit. Few people know the pass was named for William Loveland, who never crossed it. He funded the wagon road, but died before completion. His investment created Colorado's first reliable trans-mountain route. The mountain claimed its benefactor's name, not his presence. Backcountry skiers launch from the summit, accessing terrain too dangerous for ski areas. Avalanche beacons are mandatory. Every year, the pass claims vehicles and lives, yet it remains open, the only hazmat route through the Continental Divide. The largest living organism in Colorado surrounds this pass. These golden aspens share one root system covering thousands of acres. When you touch one tree, the entire forest feels it. This organism is 80,000 years old.
The leaves turn simultaneously because they're genetically identical. The quaking sound comes from flattened stems that catch wind like whispers. Native Americans called them the trees that talk. Modern science confirms chemical communication through roots.
Few people know Mount Bierstadt's easiest 14er status creates deadly scenarios. Afternoon lightning kills more hikers here than anywhere in Colorado. The approach seems gentle until weather arrives. The mountain counts on overconfidence. Georgetown's Silver Legacy funds this road's maintenance. The 23-mile scenic byway exists because 1800s miners needed supplies. They carved impossible grades that modern engineers wouldn't attempt. Original wagon ruts remain visible beside pavement.
The highest continuous paved road in America climbs above life itself. For 48 miles, Trail Ridge Road traverses landscapes where trees cannot grow.
You drive through tundra identical to Arctic regions 2,000 miles north. Utah children raced horses here above the clouds. Trail Ridge follows paths used for 11,000 years. Archaeological sites reveal game drives, stone walls that funneled animals toward hunters. The road paved ancient wisdom. Few people know the road causes altitude sickness in vehicles. Cars lose 30% power, radiators boil, automatic transmissions fail. The Park Service stocks oxygen for tourists who collapse. Medical helicopters can't land, too high for safe operation. Lightning strikes the Alpine Visitor Center 100 times annually. The building acts as a Faraday cage, protecting occupants while electricity dances outside. Afternoon storms arrive with mathematical precision. Weather changes from summer to winter in minutes. Locals voted to stay small. When developers proposed mega resort expansion, Crested Butte said no. The population remains 1,600. Chains are banned. Architecture must match 1880s mining heritage. Even the gas station looks historic. This is where mountain biking was invented. In 1976, motorcycles were banned from trails. Locals attached motorcycle components to bicycles, creating the first mountain bikes. They called it clunking. Now pilgrims arrive to ride original routes. Few people know wildflowers here grow nowhere else on Earth. The unique geology creates microenvironments supporting endemic species. Botanists discover new plants regularly. The town declares wildflower capital of Colorado isn't marketing, it's scientific fact. Extreme skiing started here to avoid lift lines. Locals hiked peaks that resorts deemed too dangerous. They skied anyway, creating a culture that judges commitment over equipment. The mountain bikes and extreme skiing both emerged from the same ethic: earn your turns. The entire town is a National Historic District. Ouray sits in a box canyon so perfect that early settlers thought they'd found paradise. Hot springs bubble while snow falls. Ice climbers practice on frozen waterfalls that steam from geothermal heat. The ice park exists because local plumbers got creative. They spray water on canyon walls, creating the world's first ice climbing park, free to all. The town economy shifted from mining to manufacturing ice. Winter brings climbers from 6 continents. Few people know the hot springs were sacred to 3 tribes who never fought here. The healing waters created neutral ground. Modern analysis reveals lithium content, natural mood elevation. The Switzerland of America nickname came from homesick miners. $1 Million Highway starts here. The road that cost $1 million per mile in 1883. Or named for the $1 million views, or the gold ore in the roadbed. Nobody agrees. The road clings to cliffs with no guardrails. Engineers say guardrails would be false comfort. The deepest hot springs on Earth measured to 1,002 feet before equipment failed. Geologists believe the true depth exceeds 2,000 feet. The mother spring maintains 144 degrees Fahrenheit constantly. Ute language Pagosa means healing waters. The springs create their own weather system. Steam clouds form and dissipate in patterns that predict storms. Mineral deposits built terraces, now covered by development. Old-timers remember when rainbow pools cascaded down natural steps. Few people know the springs have never frozen, despite negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit winters. The geothermal field extends under the entire town. Businesses heat with hot water. Sidewalks stay clear. The high school's heating bill, $0.
The Great Pagosa Aquifer supplies water throughout the region, but the hot springs connect to something deeper. Dye tests show no connection to surface water. This heat comes from the planet's core, rising through faults that predate the Rockies.
More Winter Olympians trained here than any other American mountain. The National Sports Center for the Disabled started in 1970 when amputee veterans returned from Vietnam. They wanted to ski. Winter Park said yes when others said impossible.
The ski train ran from Denver's Union Station directly to the slopes for 75 years. Passengers changed from business suits to ski suits on board. The train climbed 4,000 feet through 29 tunnels, urban to alpine, in 2 hours. Few people know blind skiers pioneered adaptive sports here. They developed guide systems now used worldwide. The mountain became a laboratory for accessibility. Every breakthrough started with someone saying, "Watch this," instead of, "I can't."
Mary Jane Territory contains some of Colorado's most challenging terrain, named after a lady of negotiable affection who worked the mining camps. The mountain's moguls are so legendary that Olympic athletes train here specifically for bump technique, where Olympians are born and limits go to die. I started looking for Instagram spots, but Colorado showed me something else entirely. Behind every vista
lives a story of human ambition colliding with geological impossibility. From conspiracy airports to singing sand dunes, from bridges that shouldn't exist to hot springs deeper than science can measure.
These 30 places prove that Colorado keeps its greatest secrets at altitude, where oxygen runs thin, but stories run deep. Some locations will challenge your courage. Others will question your reality. All will change how you see America's highest state.
The Rockies aren't just mountains. They're monuments to everything humans dream and nature allows. Now you know where to find them.